Thank you there, night lady. How many of you has opened your Bible this week and read Ezekiel 16, 1 through 6? Find anything interesting? I know one has. They've called me twice today. Trick question, wasn't it? Man, the Lord sure has been good to us, and it's been an interesting chapter. So it's so interesting, I'm going to let Charlotte explain it. Oh, okay. The book of Job, chapter 39. Job 39. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? We don't know the things that God knows. For instance, today we can control the breeding cycles of animals today. You know, we have if you know anything about cattle today they have this program today that they go by. And they go by the calendar every day. And all. You can give them shots. That's how we control the things in domesticated animals today. Man controls the breeding cycle of domesticated animals. But see, back when all this was going on, but in the wild, we have no control. Only God does. Now that tells me that God has control of everything on this earth because He created everything on this earth. That tells me that God controls the wind, the sun, the moon, the stars. He controls everything about this earth. And He put it in a perfect form in the Garden of Eden. Then the fall of man messed everything up. So a lot of times we look at situations in life and we say, well, how can this be? How can this happen? God's in control. And that's something that I have had to teach myself. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Let God work it out. Let God deal with it. Let God teach you. Let God lead you. Let God guide you. Because because God knows everything about you and everything about me, just like He knows everything about the animals that He created. Everything. Their life cycles, their reproduction cycles, everything He knows about. He said, they bow themselves, they bring forth young ones, they cast out sorrows. Even animals have labor pains. Yeah. And so, God, and God has a plan, but we have got to follow the plan that God has. Their young ones are in good liking. They grow up with corn. They go forth and return not unto them. Now, what I got out of this is they leave, they grow up and they leave, and they grow up to be strong and they leave and they go. Not to return, because they become self-sufficient, dependent upon God. Well, we could learn something from the animals that God created if we just take time to watch and look. Now, I watched a video the other day of a young lady. She was training a horse. I may be getting ahead of myself. And they said, watch, see what this horse does. This horse was loping around the round pen. She walks out in the middle of the pen, she just lays down. The horse stops, looks at her, then walks over to her. Takes its nose, she don't move. The horse takes another step and stands over her like, I'm going to protect you. You see, God created everything on this earth. You see, even the animals recognize when there's something that's not right. Now, y'all, I'm trying to stay out of trouble tonight, but looks like I'm fitting to get in trouble, so here we go. See, even in the animal kingdom, in the animal world, they mate with their own kind and produce their own kind. Yes, they could. Because see, I want you to understand something. God created man and woman. He didn't create man and man. So the animals has got it right, but mankind, they ain't got it right. Because according to the book of Romans in the first chapter, they left the natural use of a woman. So we can learn something from the animals that God created on this earth. I better go on before I do get in trouble. And in verse 5, who hath sent out wild ass free, and who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? God don't oppress the donkey. It's free. People is the one who oppresses the animal, not God. Because, see, we put bits in horses' mouths that we can guide them. We put dogs in pens to keep them from roaming the neighborhood. We put fences up to keep our cattle in and our horses in. We put horses in stables so we can keep them looking good. God does not oppress the animal. Man does. God is the one who sets the animal free. And God is the one who sets us free. You see, because man has felt that they can oppress the animal, so they have took it to a level where they can oppress the man. If that makes sense. I'm trying to get where I got to go, but it's just taking me a while, y'all. But the thing about this, God come to set us free. He sent his son Jesus to set us free. Just like he set the donkey free, just like he set all the animals free, he come to set us free. Whose house, verse 6, whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwelling place. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver. Nothing can contain the wild donkey. If you know anything about donkeys or mules, they got their own way of thinking. And man has never been able to figure out the mindset of a mule. You know, they say a mule is one of the smartest animals on earth. But I don't know. I don't know. But the crying of the driver, they don't pay no attention to the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. The donkey seeks green grass in the mountainous terrain. The donkey will hide in the mountain to get away from man. The donkey will find a place to hide from man so that he can be free. Verse 9. Everybody likes the unicorn. Everybody likes the unicorn. Nope. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee or abide by thy crib? What is the unicorn? Is a wild bull. A wild bull, will he stay with you? Now, Ronnie's had some dealing with some cows. Ronnie, would them cows stay in the fence? Could you corral up a wild bull and hold him for a while? Charles, you seen them tear down catch pens. You seen one. We got one at the house. Charles just quit buying hay rings because he tear up that hay ring. You put a new one out there in 2 days, it look like something done smashed it together. Got to watch him one day out there, and that bull was tearing everything up he could get his head on. So, everybody talks about the unicorn, but the Bible considers it to be a wild bull. Canst thou bind the unicorn, his band, in the furrow, or will he harrow in the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great, and wilt thou leave thy labor to him? The wild bull cannot be harnessed. He has a free spirit that cannot be tamed. And today I asked this question, so I hope somebody can help me. I asked this question today. God, what are you trying to say here? What are you trying to tell me here today? Now, I started on this thing about 9 o'clock this morning. I finished about 12 and still didn't know much more than what I did when I started. I said, God, what are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that all these things you created for a specific purpose to be a lesson to me? For me to take a lesson from these animals? Are you teaching me something with these animals today? Yeah. Mm-mm. I can't pull a wagon. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. No. I had one sent me to the hospital. I mean, that taught me something right there. Boy, you ain't near as young as you used to be. And they never did get him broke. I had one went to the rodeo too. I rode him for 8 hours up here in the mountains one day, and he booked all 8 hours. I, yep. Some horses ain't meant to be rode, And some bulls ain't meant to be caught and put in a cage. In verse 12, wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather into thy barn? Can you count on it? God is my provider. I mean, so I just, and I found the next couple verses to be somewhat, very up to date. Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks. Man, ain't they got the prettiest wings that you ever seen when they open up, and their tail feathers, and or wings and feathers unto the ostrich. Now, which leaveth her eggs in the earth and warmeth them into the dust. The ostrich cannot fly. The ostrich is a bad mother. Leaves her eggs vulnerable, and she has no care for her eggs. Oh boy, I tell you what. Now, y'all mamas don't throw a songbook at me, okay? But sometimes mamas and daddies act like it's ostrich. Just like the other day at the Madison Fire Station. They got that new thing where people don't want their babies, they can just come by and drop them off. Well, it'd been up for 12 hours, and they done had one baby left in it. You see, I want you to know a mother should have instincts, parental instincts. So should a father. But this ostrich has no care. She don't understand. Now, for years I've always wondered, man, how come everybody just running around like an ostrich and stuck her head in the sand? But she has no use for her little ones. She has no care for them. And forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. She disowns her chicks. So, So, would we ask a question? Why would God create such an animal? Everything He's created on this earth has a purpose and a place. Now, I think He set it on this earth for man to learn from. What not to do, what not to be. For man to be compassionate. For man to learn from it to be compassionate and caring and loving. So I think we can learn something, that what we don't need to do, and things that we do need to do. Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath He imparted unto her understanding. God has not given her any kind of intelligence. What time she lifted up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. To me it says she laughs at the horse because she spreads her wings and she is fast enough that he can't catch her. An ostrich can outrun a horse. An ostrich can run 55 miles an hour, I believe. That's fast. You know what Lane called them when we went to the drive-through zoo one time? A long necker. A long necker. I said, "What'd you call that thing?" I thought he said something else. Jen said, "What'd you think he said?" I said, "I ain't repeating it." He called it a long necker. And you know what that long necker done? Picking my truck. Because he was throwing food out the window to it. And so, yeah. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Have you given a horse, to me I think he's telling Job here, have you given the horse his power? The power that the horse gives is what God gives it. Verse 20, canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. Can you place fear in the animal? I've seen some that place fear in the man. Yeah. He paweth in the valley and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed man. He mocketh at fear and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, and the glittering spear and the shield. See, this horse, they use the horse as a horse of war. All down through history, the horse has been used as an instrument of war. From the very beginning of time all the way to now, it's still used now. The war horse is a mighty figure. It's strong, it's powerful. And he is always ready for battle. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that it is the sound of a trumpet. And he saith among the trumpets, Ha ha. And he smelleth the battle afar off, and the thunder of captains, and the shouting. The war horse is a mighty weapon. Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high. Now, does the eagle obey me? No, it don't. Does the eagle obey you? No, it don't. But the eagle obeys God. Because God has made that eagle smart. And that eagle knows how to care for her little ones. She knows how to bring food to them, and she knows how to build a nest for them, and she knows to sit on her eggs. She knows to care for them and do for them. Until that day, till she pitches them out and tells them to fly. So the eagle is a mighty bird. It is a smart bird. She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. got too far ahead. I skipped 26. Doeth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and a strong place. For whence she seeth the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. She sits there. She's got a keen eye. She sees the prey that she needs, and it's afar off. And she'll fly around, and all of a sudden she'll swoop down. With her claws, she will get that prey, and she will kill that prey and take it back to her babes. Her young ones also suck up the blood, and where the slain are, there is she. She's the protector of her nest. So I mean, this chapter was intriguing to me. I mean, I learned some things in there that I can't put in words, that I know. But next Wednesday night, God's going to start talking to Job again about some things. And we're about to wind up the book of Job. And I already know where we got to go when we leave here. Guys, we can take some lessons from things in our everyday lives, everything around us, if we'll look at it and see it and acknowledge it as it is. I'm going to tell you something. Back several years ago, God was dealing with my heart about some things. I was ill. Janice didn't want to be around me. I was so ill. I was ill as a hornet because God was dealing with my heart about some things. Well, I was out working my horse one afternoon, and it didn't do what I thought it ought to do the way it ought to do. So I got off of her, and I whipped her all the way up across that hillside in the back of the pasture. I whipped her all the way up there. And I got up there, and I looked at her, and I won't never forget it. God said, what if I whipped you like that all the time? I'll never forget it. And by the time I got back to the house, I didn't even ride her back to the house. I led her back. Took the saddle off of her, put her up. I didn't mess with her 2 or 3 days after that. Because God was wanting me to do something that I didn't want to do. But when I said, okay, give in, and I done what he wanted me to do, that peace re-entered my life. I mean, I've learned some lessons over the years with animals. I've learned some hard lessons. But they've been good lessons. Tell you something else I learned over the years. When I worked at Slayton Press, Tim, we worked long hours. We was running stuff out of New Orleans, and we was running stuff out of Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. We was running stuff from all over the Southeast. Atlanta, Memphis, Orlando, Miami. We was running stuff from all over. We was printing stuff from all over. And we was running around the clock. And we'd been for about 3 months there. We'd been on Blue Cross and Blue Shield in the Southeast. And we're running around the clock. That press never shut off except for problems in maintenance. So we had to break it down one morning about 4 o'clock and get ready for something out of New Orleans that had 5 different colors on it. And so I'm trying to get that mess lined up on the machine. It won't line up for nothing. Well, about 5:30, the stripping department come in because they had to come in, start getting the other stuff ready for us. I went through them swinging doors and I crawled that poor little old guy that laid all that stuff down and lined it up. And he just stood there and looked at me. I went through them swinging doors and God said, "That's a good witness, son." I said, "Oh, God." So about 10 minutes later, I'm back up through them swinging doors, and here I come through them swinging doors. He just kind of backed up away from the light table. I said, "I'm going to tell you, son, I'm sorry. I shouldn't talk to you like that. I shouldn't have done you that way." I said, and I can't blame it on being give out, wore out, and all this other stuff. I said, all I can tell you is I'm sorry, and I shouldn't have never done that, and you won't ever happen again. You listen to God, He'll put you back on the right path. Amen. It wasn't long after that they closed their plant. Mm-hmm. But so if you'll listen to God, He'll teach you some things along the way, but you got to listen. Stand with me. Women's meeting.